Dear viewers from all over the map, welcome to my channel. The Curious Tube features book reviews, tech tips, ways to earn money online, and more. In this video, I will walk you through eugenics history and technologies, coming up next on the Curious Tube.
Eugenics is the scientifically erroneous and immoral theory of racial improvement and planned breeding, which gained popularity during the early 20th century. Eugenicists worldwide believed that they could perfect human beings and eliminate so-called social ills through genetics and heredity. They believed the use of methods such as involuntary sterilization, segregation, and social exclusion would rid society of individuals deemed by them to be unfit.
Francis Galton, an English statistician, demographer, and ethnologist, coined the term eugenics in 1883. Galton defined eugenics as the study of agencies under social control that may improve or impair the racial qualities of future generations, either physically or mentally. Galton claimed that health and disease, as well as social and intellectual characteristics, were based upon heredity and the concept of race. During the 1870s and 1880s, discussions of human improvement and the ideology of scientific racism became increasingly common. So-called experts determined individuals and groups of people to be either superior or inferior. They believed biological and behavioral characteristics were fixed and unchangeable, and placed individuals, populations, and nations inside of that hierarchy.
By the 1920s, eugenics had become a global movement. There was popular, elite, and governmental support for eugenics in Germany, the United States, Great Britain, Italy, Mexico, Canada, and other countries. Statisticians, economists, anthropologists, sociologists, social reformers, geneticists, public health officials, and members of the general public supported eugenics through a variety of academic and popular literature. The most well-known application of eugenics occurred in Nazi Germany in the lead-up to World War II and the Holocaust. The Nazi German racial state between 1933 and 1945 used its resources to cleanse the German people and the Nazi state of those they deemed unworthy of life. Nazis in Germany, Austria, and other occupied territories euthanized at least 70,000 adults and 5,200 children. They implemented a campaign of forced sterilization that claimed at least 400,000 victims. This culminated in the near destruction of the Jewish people, as well as an effort to eliminate other marginalized ethnic minorities, such as the Sinti and Roma, individuals with disabilities, and LGBTQ+ people.
In the United States, slavery and its legacies, fears of miscegenation, and eugenics were deeply connected in the early 20th century. Prominent American eugenicists expounded on their concerns of race suicide, or the increasingly differential birth rates between immigrants and non-Nordic races compared to native-born Nordic whites. Eugenicists used these concerns to promote discriminatory policies like anti-immigration and sterilization. American eugenicists from a variety of disciplines declared certain individuals unfit, feeble-minded, or antisocial, which resulted in the involuntary sterilization of at least 60,000 people through 30 states' laws by the 1970s. These eugenicists disproportionately targeted Latins, Native Americans, African Americans, poor whites, and people with disabilities during the entirety of the 20th century. Eugenicists were also crucial to the enactment of discriminatory immigration legislation that was passed in 1924, the Johnson-Reed Act, which completely excluded immigrants from Asia.
While eugenics movements especially flourished during the 3 decades before the end of World War II, eugenics practices such as involuntary sterilization, forced institutionalization, social ostracization, and stigma were common in many states until at least the 1970s, and, in some instances, have continued into the present in various forms. With the completion of the Human Genome Project and, more recently, advances in genomic screening technologies, there is some concern about whether generating an increasing amount of genomic information in the prenatal setting would lead to new societal pressures to terminate pregnancies where the fetus is at heightened risk for genetic disorders, such as Down syndrome and spina bifida. The emergence of statistical techniques, such as polygenic risk scores, that can estimate risks for more genetically complex disorders have raised concerns among ethicists that their use in the context of in vitro fertilization and pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, the possible genomic-based screening of embryos for behavioral, Psychosocial or intellectual traits would be reminiscent of the history of eugenics in its attempt to eliminate certain individuals.
When the HGP began in 1990, there was widespread concern that genomics would lead to a new era of eugenics. Many bioethicists were aware of how past eugenic movements used genetic information to ostracize historically marginalized groups, and believed that people would use the outcomes of the HGP and subsequent developments in genomics to further marginalize and stigmatize certain groups. People were also concerned that the HGP would usher in a new era of behavior genetics, where genes would be used to explain certain behaviors. Many discussions about the HGP revolved around whether employers or insurance companies could use genomic information to discriminate against specific individuals. In response to these and other concerns, the National Center for Human Genome Research founded the Ethical, Legal and Societal Implications Research Program. For more than 3 decades, the NHGRI-ELSI research program has funded research on all aspects of the social and ethical implications of genomics, including the legacies of eugenics and scientific racism in the context of new and emerging genetic and genomic technologies.
Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more videos from this channel. If you knew of any useful information on this topic, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button and notifications icon for more useful information and tips from The Curious Tube.